Everyday witches emerge from the shadows of secrecy. Broom closets are flinging open and witches are taking flight. Whether you are hiding in your cozy closet or flying with pride, stay for a spell as Witchcasting with Theodora Pendragon and her guests share magical moments, stir the cauldron, and debunk misinformation and misconceptions about paganism, witches, and our wonderful world of magic.
Welcome to Witchcasting with Theodora Pendragon. I'm your host, Theodora, and today I have Lily. She is Mystic Primrose. Welcome, Lily.
I'm happy to be here.
Where in the world are you?
I am currently in the UK, in the middle of the UK, so as far away from any seaside possible. So that's pretty much where I'm at.
I sought you out because you have the most beautiful reels on Instagram, and you teach us about magic and witchcraft. So tell us a little bit about Mystic Primrose.
The account kind of started as in my way of journeying and documenting my own witchcraft journey. I didn't really want to put any like witchcraft aesthetic photos on my normal one in case anyone thought, like my friends and stuff, thought I was a weirdo or something. So I created my own one, and it kind of just like blew up after the first few posts, and I was like, I totally wasn't expecting it at all. I think I ended up having like a couple of hundred likes on the first 5 posts. So I was like, okay, maybe this can actually go somewhere. And then I posted random bits here and there for like maybe a couple of years, dropped off it for a little bit. And then I think one day I was looking for a side hustle and I was like, oh wait, I've already got my witchcraft Instagram account and people are asking me to sell stuff on there anyway. So it kind of just evolved from people asking that they wanted stuff and they wanted to learn more from me. So it kind of just happened naturally instead of like forcing it, if that makes sense.
Your reels are very beautifully represented. I mean, the presentation is amazing.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I've worked hard on it. I think the first 10 reels definitely didn't look as good, and then I kind of worked out what works and what doesn't work. So I'm starting to perfect it. It's getting there slowly.
Well, you're definitely teaching everybody about spells and witchcraft. So how did your journey start?
Where do I begin? I think my friend took me to a metaphysical store where they had all different crystals and herbs and tarot cards and stuff, and I kind of walked in and I was like, oh my gosh, what is this place? I think they had pendulums dangling from the ceiling. There must have been like 50 all just dangling, and I was like, oh my gosh, what are those? And so they told me what they were for, and obviously they're for answering questions that are like yes and no or different forms of divination. And then being like a 16-year-old at the time, I was like, oh my gosh, this crystal will tell me whether I ever actually date this person or not, because I had a crush on someone at the time. So I was like, okay, I'm just going to buy it and see what happens. And then lo and behold, I did end up dating that person, but it wasn't for like a while in the future. Kind of just went from that. So it started off with a pendulum crystal and then me making a makeshift altar in my wardrobe and my mum wondering why I'm stealing salt from the kitchen. I was like, it doesn't matter, just leave me to it. And then it kind of just went from there. And like, I didn't really realise the stuff that I was doing. So like the pendulum and different like manifestation notes and stuff was actually witchcraft. And it wasn't until like 4 or 5 years down the line that I actually put 2 and 2 together, and I was like, oh, okay, I'm actually practicing witchcraft. And then I kind of just like just delve headfirst into it since then.
You are very witchy, so tell us a little bit about the spells. So you started off with wanting to know about love, and many people do start off with a love spell when we're young, right?
Definitely.
Love and money.
I mean, that's it in a nutshell, is it not?
We all want to know about love and money, and those two things make the world go round.
Exactly. I think like just like with spell work and stuff, I've always gone like with what I've felt like at the time, or say if any reels I've done on Instagram, it's sometimes what people have asked me for, and then other times it's just like what I'm feeling that day. So I kind of just like put all the knowledge together that I already know, and then do my own version of it. And the reels are there for a guidance for people. Like they don't need to copy it exactly the same, because at the end of the day, witchcraft is such a unique journey, and it's up to you to make it how you want it to be. So it's kind of just gone from there, and I don't know, it's kind of just snowballed from just being a couple of odd spells here and there to realising people actually want to learn and learn how to create their own spells from me, and I've just found myself doing it every single day since. So
You made a good point, because you said that spells, you make it how you want it to be. And quite often I've heard people say, oh, you're doing the spell wrong, or you're not lighting the candle right, or you're supposed to blow out the candle, or you're not supposed to blow out the candle. What advice would you give people about creating their own spell?
I think like with everything in life in general, it's about practice, figuring out what works for you and what doesn't work for you. For example, candle magic and spell jars and stuff, they tend to work best for me, so that's what I've kind of like worked with. But I guess it's just a trial of error. Like as long as your herbs or your colours and stuff match your intentions to a certain degree, as long as your intention's there and that you semi know what you're doing, it doesn't really matter. Like there's been times when I've like been doing spell work and I was like, oh, maybe I could use this instead. So I'll run downstairs, grab something, and it doesn't have to be everything that's like formal. You can't get distracted, and like obviously you need your intention there. But if I forgot something downstairs, I'll just run downstairs, get it, and come back up. Like it's not. I think people make it into a bigger deal than it has to be. Like if you do it slightly wrong, it's not the end of the world. Nothing's going to come back and bite you in the bum unless you're doing something crazy. I don't know. But I think just go with it and see what works for you. And if it works, it does. And if it doesn't, try something else next time. You have like your whole life to figure it out. So there's no rush with it.
I noticed on your reels, you list the herbs that you use, the herbs and the crystals, and they all have correspondences.
Yeah.
And you explain those correspondences in your reels. If people pay attention, they realize what that is.
Literally. There's been times where I think there's comments where it's like, how do you discard it? How do you do this? How do you do that? I was like, if you actually read what I've put, everything's on there. Like, I'm not hiding from anything. Or if someone's asked a question that's like a common question, I'll pin like the comment on my Instagram reel. So they literally just have to look at the top comment and their answer's there. But it gets a little bit repetitive when you have the same people like asking the same questions, and I'm just like, I'll answer it once. And at the end of the day, if you guys can't use your initiative to figure out yourself, then sorry, I can't sit in the comment section all day saying the same thing over and over again.
I know that may seem tedious, but they must look up to you if they keep reaching out to you.
I guess so. I think like I normally add in all the information that you do need to add in and everything that they need to know. But I think people are worried about getting the spell completely wrong or doing it not like if they don't do it a certain way, it's not going to happen. But at the end of the day, witchcraft is your own journey. You can like interpret my reels and my spells to however you want. Like if you want to add in a different herb or a different crystal and take one out or anything like that, like you're more than welcome to. I think just as long as your intention is strong enough and that your willpower for wanting the outcome of the spell to happen, then it doesn't really matter too much. I think that's like the downfall with other with being the internet and stuff. Like, people say you have to do it this way, you have to do it that way, otherwise this is going to happen. But I don't think that's the case. But at the end of the day, everyone's entitled to their own opinions.
The purpose of your reels is to teach.
Mm-hmm.
Do you do all these spells yourself?
They're mainly from ones I've done in the past, pretty much, and ones that have worked out for me. I just pretty much just recreate them and do them for people. But obviously when I'm filming, I'm not necessarily, I don't know how to explain it, performing the spell myself. It's more just a tutorial. So I've done them all myself. It's just, I don't know. It's just mainly a document, like me documenting my journey, and I just chose Instagram as a platform for it and realised people actually want me to teach them. And then I'm like, okay, I've actually got to teach people now. So it's kind of just worked from there.
Do you feel that's your purpose, to teach through these reels? Because they are so professional.
Thank you. I literally just filmed them using my iPhone and natural light, so I'm glad they come across as looking professional. I think so. It must be my purpose to a certain degree, because I've done a degree in zoology. I've done a master's degree in zoology, and I've done everything for my career before witchcraft was not related to witchcraft at all, but I just keep finding myself driven down the witchcraft path. So I'm assuming this is where I'm meant to be going. So I'm just going to keep going that way and ignore the fact that I've got a degree in zoology and I'm not going to do anything with it. But it's okay.
Well, it does sound like it's your purpose.
It must be, if it's working out okay for me so far, touch wood. But
so would you consider yourself famous on Instagram? You have over 500,000 followers.
I know, it sounds crazy because I don't really think about it. In my head, I'm just filming content in my room, in my office, just getting on with my daily life, fulfilling orders and stuff. But whenever I've been on a podcast and someone turns around and goes, how's it feel being famous? I'm just like, am I? I don't see it as that. I honestly just see it as I'm just creating my Instagram account and people are just following me for it, I guess. But what was interesting the other day, do you know how they tell you not to Google yourself? I searched my name on TikTok and there was a couple of searches. I think it was Mystic Primrose before fame, Mystic Primrose dating history, Mystic Primrose something else. And I was just like, what? Where's all this come from? In my head, I'm just making reels in my room and just getting on with my life, not actually realising I've got 500,000 followers and growing. So it's kind of surreal.
They were by fans?
They were just searches. So do you know when you go onto Google and you type a famous person's name and then it comes up with a list of options of what people have been searching? It was like that on TikTok. And I was just like, oh my gosh, this is crazy. What do you mean before fame? I don't see myself as being famous. And I was just like, oh, okay, I'll take that. I guess it's more, I'm bigger than I think I am. But yeah.
Okay, so I guess they all want to know if you're in a relationship, right? That should be flattering.
Yeah, and stuff like that. And I was just like, okay, fair enough. I'll see. Maybe I won't just keep Googling, seeing what people are saying, because obviously they tell you not to. But nothing bad. So I'm happy with that. I just think I don't want to look in case one day there is, and I'm like, oh my gosh. I'll probably just sit down and cry.
Well, that does come along with fame, because you will get people who don't like you. But so far, so good.
Let's keep it that way.
Can you tell us one of your most successful spells that you've done for yourself?
In a nutshell, without going into too much detail, my cat was pretty much on death's door. I think it was 3 years ago. And it didn't matter how many vets I went to. They were like, he's got this, he's got cat COVID. And they pretty much had just written a line underneath him and was like, yeah, no, he's pretty much as good as dead. And I was not having any of it, pretty much. So I can't remember exactly what spell it was. It was more like a candle ritual. I had some of his fur and my intentions and stuff. And it was pretty much just asking the universe to give me a way out of like helping him. A couple of days later, I ended up finding a world leading expert on what these vets said that he had, and I'd spoken to her, and she was like, yeah, he's not got that at all. This is what he's got. This is what you need to go do. Take him to the vets and they'll do this. And then 3 years later, he's still here clawing at my sofas. So I guess the universe kind of put me in contact with the right people. But at the end of the day, I think like it was just that opening that one door I needed in order to sort him out, pretty much. So yeah, people kept telling me no, and that he was going to die and I needed to put him down, and it wasn't fair for me to keep him alive. But I was like, he genuinely has not got this. Like, I don't believe you. All the tests are coming back saying he's not got this, and yet you're still adamant that he has. I fell out with a lot of vets where I was living at the time, but the cat's still here, and he's as happy as he's ever been, minus pancreas. But he's good.
I would say that is a very successful spell.
Mm-hmm. So what I did was I did the main spell, and then every evening after that, I lit a small tea light with another little bit of his fur in and concentrated on my intention for a bit. And I just kept doing that every single night until he got sorted. So I think that's my most successful spell.
I might have to use that spell one day. I'll always remember this one.
Thank you. I will have to write it down because I feel like quite a few people might actually want that if they've got pets that are ill. So maybe I should do. Maybe that's a new real idea.
Aha, that sounds like a real idea. Definitely, because those of us who have pets and consider them our family members, we would use a spell like this when they're ill.
Literally, I think they're my ride or dies. I've got 2 cats and a little dog. They drive me insane, like all the time, but I wouldn't have it any other way. So I'm just happy that the spell worked and Theo's still here.
What is your philosophy on hexing?
Personally, I haven't done any hexes just because I'm skeptical that I don't want it to come back and bite me in the bum. But then at the same time, I'm like, yeah, but this person deserves karma, and why can't I be their karma? Like, I don't know. I think it's such a tough subject, and it's completely down to the person on whether they want to go ahead and do it or not, or if they want to just wait and see if like karma comes to that person naturally or something. But I don't know. I think I'm a bit of a scaredy cat with it, just in case, because like my life is on a good track right now, and I don't really want to screw it up by being petty and hexing someone or something. But if someone's been an absolute arsehole to me, then I'm just saying my option's there if I need it.
I'm with you. I've been torn on that also. Whatever I put out into the universe, I know it's going to come back to me, so I need to be very careful on what I put out.
You want to stay with things that, like, you know, that are safe. And fair enough, if you do a hex and nothing happens to you, then fair enough, because clearly that person deserved it. But at the same time, I don't want to abuse like the gift I've been given just for it to then turn my life upside down. So I haven't done any yet. No one's pushed me to that limit just yet. We'll see.
You have a very strong online presence. What about in your everyday mundane life? Do you ride with pride as a witch publicly?
So I'm from like a little village, and one day I was in like, I think it was the Sun newspaper, which is a pretty big newspaper in the UK, and I was like on the second page, and with being in like the village I live in, and quite a few people read that paper, and obviously because it's a small village, they'll know who I am. I was like, now I'm classed as the village weirdo. But at the same time, like, I don't think I'm that bothered. Like, my mom, my dad, and my friends and family, they kind of just see me as the weirdo. Like, they wouldn't have me any other way, but at the same time, I'm just like, I'll just do me. And if you need any help with anything, then feel free to come to me. But I know you'll probably be like, it doesn't work. So I'm like, okay, suit yourself. But like, I think when I first started witchcraft, I didn't want anyone to know because I was kind of like ashamed of it. And I just felt uncomfortable, and then the fact that maybe someone thought I was just being a weirdo and that I was crazy. But it's kind of, as time's gone on and more people asking me with like my Instagram and stuff, it's kind of just like, it is what it is. I'm not going to hide away from what I do, especially when I feel like it's my calling. So if people ask me, I'll happily talk about it, but I won't go out my way to be like, I'm a witch, by the way. So
this article in the newspaper, did they have a positive spin on your witchcraft and you?
I tried my absolute hardest to get it to be as serious and truthful as possible. But with the Sun being the Sun and the newspaper and the media being the media, they obviously have to put their like jokey twist on it and stuff. So I had to kind of like fight with the reporter a bit to be like, it needs to be said this way, this is the proper way of saying it, because I don't want like the witchcraft community coming at me because of it. It's as good as I possibly could have got it, considering it is the media and it is that type of paper.
Did the newspaper seek you out for an interview?
So it started off with, I reached out, this was like when I was relatively small. I reached out to a few different like papers and stuff because I was suffering with so many impersonator accounts and I needed to get verified on Instagram. And for that, you need media, you need publications and stuff. So that was mainly the reason why I reached out to people. And then they were the ones that came back to me. And there's been like, people have asked for like publications since. But I was like, I don't really fancy being in the Sun newspaper again, where you kind of like, you don't take the piss, but you're kind of taking the piss at the same time over it. And then I had a few, I think it was like This Morning TV, asked me to go on, and I was just like, I do and I don't want to do it, just purely because people don't understand, people who aren't in witchcraft, they don't understand it and they just see it as some like weird gimmick when it's really not. And if people actually took time to understand it and get involved, then they'd realise like how amazing it is and how it can change your life. But I'll just stick away from those sorts of papers just because of who they are.
Even the newspaper puts their own spin on it, whatever spin they want.
Yeah, and I think like I asked them to read it back about 3 or 4 times, and I was like, you need to change this, you can't say this. And then it was just like some of the definitions where it's like, with like paganism being an umbrella term, and then witch, and then Wiccan, and I had to like make sure they'd got it all right, because obviously they just put their own spin on it. And I think the title of the paper was like, Get Rich Quick with something, which I can't remember, it's on the fridge downstairs. But like, it was kind of just like, it was just a bit gimmicky.
Yeah, that title is quite gimmicky.
Yeah, and then they had, it was like on the second page, and they had like, it just looked, they had like some sort of like clip art and stuff behind it that just made it look tacky, and like it wasn't like serious or anything. So I was just like, I'll just let this one slide, but I ain't doing any more papers if you're gonna take like the wee out of it. So good old Sun.
Your reels are very classy, and it's really too bad that they would take you and your personality, your online presence, because you have a very classy presence on social media, and then they create this title, Get Rich Quick, with the witch or whatever they said.
Yeah. Is there any need? Like, I get that's the type of paper that it is, but at the same time, it's just like, come on. I guess it helps sell more papers. And I got quite a few customers out of it, but at the same time, it just didn't come across the way I wanted it to. But that's media for you.
You said you have customers. What do you sell?
I sell anything from crystals to spell jars to tarot card readings to witchcraft starter kits, witchcraft diaries that I have sold out so many times. I've been trying to get hold of them as quick as possible. They sell out just as quick as I get them.
Witchcraft diaries?
Yeah, so it's kind of like your normal diary, but then it's incorporating witchcraft, so it'll have all of your sabbats in, it'll have witch tips, it'll have different witchcraft spells, new moon phases and everything. Like, it's a really good diary.
Is it similar to a book of shadows, or is it something different?
Kind of like a journal / book of shadows / like your daily planner, and they're all mixed into one, so you can keep an eye, like keep on track with your daily life, but at the same time it's just got all witch bits in, and I think they're really good, if I do say so myself.
And you offer the services and the products on your website.
Mm-hmm.
And what is your website?
mysticprimrose.com.
Just like your Instagram handle.
I've got everything as Mystic Primrose just on itself, minus my YouTube account, and I'm just assuming someone's made a fake account of me on YouTube and stolen my actual username.
They have?
But it's what it is. I think I've got people making fake Facebook accounts of me now as well, like my own like personal self. So I guess there's a little bit of fame there. I don't know, but it's a never-ending battle. But
I would like to mention about these imposter accounts. I see this a lot on, Facebook and Instagram, especially Instagram. They're scammers, and they're trying to use your reputation to scam money out of people, and they DM them and offer them readings.
yeah, I think when I first found out that I had a copycat account, I think I bawled my eyes out for like a day, because they'd just stolen all my content, they were pretending to be me, and I was like, oh my gosh, what do I do? And I think the last time I checked since, there's maybe about 70, 80 of them now. As soon as like someone would follow me, they'll then message them, and they'll obviously think it's me, but I've got my blue tick now, finally, and there's a couple of pinned posts that say, this is my only Instagram account, I won't DM you for a reading. And I still get people messaging me now saying, is this you? And I understand that they're trying to help, but when it clogs your inbox up of like 50 messages a day, and I'm trying to message clients and customers, it kind of just gets in the way. It's like, just look at the pages for a second. Mine's got a blue tick, that one hasn't. And then they've posted all screenshots of my reels in the last like day, whereas mine have been over like 4 years. And if they looked at my account, and it'd be like, they'd see on my pin post, the very first post is that there are scam accounts, please don't like interact with them. But it's just part of being online, I guess. So I've kind of just accepted it.
It's part of being famous.
Apparently so. But they drive me insane. Like, sometimes it annoys me when they message me pretending to be me and then acting like I don't know that they're pretending to be me. And I'm just like, I know exactly who you are. I just end up winding myself up and blocking them because I get annoyed, because they're like, oh, do you want to read it? I'm like, you're stealing my content, and they just ignore me. Or it's when they'll message my private Instagram account, but on there it shows that I own the other one. And I'm like, guys, come on. Like, if you're going to do it, don't message the owner of the account whether I want a reading or not, because I clearly don't. And then I think I had someone else the other day. I've got a like Facebook group, and it was like, Lily Elizabeth Statham wants to join your Facebook account. And I'm like, what? I didn't like request to join it myself. So I was like, okay, you'll get blocked. But I don't mind the impersonator accounts as much as the people that, the ones that will steal my videos and pretend it's them that have filmed the video, so they take credit for my work. At least with the impersonator ones, they're pretending to be me. Whereas people who are just stealing my content for their own personal gain and pretending it's theirs, that annoys me more. Or they steal my like video ideas from like, so they're exactly the same. I don't mind people taking inspiration, but when people steal it and literally do it word for word, I'm just like, guys, come on. I've spent ages coming up with my own content idea. Please just don't nick it. Or at least credit me if you're going to. It's infuriating.
Those imposter accounts are very annoying. I had approximately, and I'd say 800 to 1,000 followers that I had to delete because obviously they were pretending to be a popular person like you.
Mm-hmm. They hit the like spiritual community more than any type. Mainly, I think that and like the business, like entrepreneur people as well. I think they're quite heavy with it. But I think it's because that they can just do a reading and it will just be like a copy and paste response, and they'll send it to whoever it is, or they'll get the money off that person, then block them. Or it's like if they want to do a spell casting, they'll charge like, I don't know, like $100 for it, and then be like, they need an extra 50 for the ingredients, and then they'll then say, oh, you've also got this curse on you, you need to give me X, Y, and Z to then lift this curse. But in actual fact, they've just got a picture of some sort of spell ritual off Pinterest or Google Images, and they're sending it to them being like, oh, this is your spell, by the way. And it's just like, guys, come on.
Unfortunately, there are so many people who fall for these scammers. You know, they're people who are vulnerable.
I feel really bad for them, especially when they come to me and be like, it's either you've scammed me of this or someone impersonating you has scammed me. And I'm like, I completely understand on how rubbish that must feel, but there's nothing really I can do about it when I've already put like warnings and stuff on my pages. And all I can do is apologise on their behalf. It's just a draining side of Instagram, I think. Especially when Instagram don't care and aren't bothered about sorting out the issue. Like, they don't care at all.
You want to tell all your followers, do not DM me when you've been scammed. Do not DM me when my copycat is following you and DMing you for spells.
I mean, you're more than welcome to DM me, but at the same time, I've done all I possibly can to let you guys know. And the thing is, like, these scammers, they've blocked me. So I can't actually see the account, or they'll, like, people who have said, oh, this person impersonating you, they'll send me a link, but I can't actually see it because they've blocked me, and therefore I can't report it or anything. So I literally can't do anything. So
another thing that I have done is report them to Instagram, and then Instagram will reply by saying that they're not doing anything wrong because it appears to be a legitimate account.
Yeah.
So I've stopped reporting it.
Honestly, I think there's not really much of a way around it, because the more users Instagram have on their account, on their platform, obviously the more they benefit from it. So they have no reason to get rid of scam accounts. It's just businesses like us that have to deal with it ourselves, and not a lot we can do about it.
So all the people out there who are learning about magic or perfecting their magic, what advice would you give them about creating their own spells?
I would say get as many books or learn as much as you possibly can. Write it down, document what you do. So with Book of Shadows, it's pretty much a documentation of your spells, creating your spells. Like, spells don't have to be over the top. They don't have to be anything like extravagant. They could simply be, you could get like, let me think off the top of my head, some salt and maybe some like black pepper and stuff, and put it around your house, and that would be a protection spell, because obviously salt represents protection and so does black pepper. So honestly, just start off small and then just work your way up, and it's just a trial of error. thinking what will work, what won't. And as long as your intention's there and your herbs and your candles and your crystals all correspond to your intentions, then it doesn't matter. I think if you're unsure on, say, like what mint represents or basil, you can simply Google it. And if you don't trust one source, just Google a couple of sources. And if they all say the same thing, then that's what that means.
Well, thank you for spreading your magic in your reels, because they really are magical.
Thank you. The number of times I've get annoyed with it. I'm like, I don't like that angle. I don't like this. I'm like, Lily, just go with it. It's fine. Stop overthinking it. But I'm a bit of I'd like to think my Instagram's quite aesthetic looking.
It is.
Colour coordinate everything. Purple never used to be my favourite colour. Neither did pink, but it's kind of gravitated towards that way. So it's just happened naturally, I guess.
Well, they're your magical colours.
I think so. I think I'm starting to realise that.
Well, thank you, Lily, Mystic Primrose.
I enjoyed myself.
Thank you for joining us for Witchcasting with Theodora Pendragon. Have a burning question or have a topic you'd love Theodora and her guests to discuss on the show? Contact her through Instagram at Theodora Pendragon. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss the next one. And help us spread the word by leaving us a rating and review and sharing it with your friends. See you next time, and may your magic always shine.